I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home. Yeah, I know this life can really beat you down. You wanna scream, but you won't make a sound. Got so much weight that you've been holding, but won't show any emotion. As a man that goes unspoken, now we can't cry when life gets hard. Unconditional loves for women, children, and dogs. We know that we just have to play our parts, and don't nobody give a damn about our broken hearts. Yeah, as a man, we gotta pave our way. Our only function is to work and slave. There's no respect for you if you ain't paid. You're disregarded as a human and you can't complain. And if you ever make it up and actually reach that base and find a woman that you love and give her your last name, you'll feel the things that you provide is only why she stays. And when you try to explain, you'll say, I can't hide myself. I don't expect you to understand. I just hope I can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and they don't care about what you know. It's not about how you feel, but what you provide inside that home. Don't give up, keep fighting. As a man, our sun is our horizon, and our father's actions play a role, and we end up like them. So they can't let us see them hurt, cause we'll embody what they do and start a generational curse. No wonder most men are so depressed, all the things that they can't express. They go to war, get thrown on the shelf, then go back to war with their mental health. Then grab that bottle and ask for help, try to pull themselves out of hell, then fall back down and then realize that they're gonna have to do it themselves. It's the circle of life. As a man, you provide. They don't know what you're worth till the day that you die, and that's when they start crying. Then move on to a man to confide in. That's why we feel we can't hide ourselves. We don't expect you to understand. We just hope we can explain what it's like to be a man. It's a lonely road, and you don't care about what we know. It's not about how we feel, but what we provide inside that home. Inside that home. That home. It's not about how we feel, but what we provide inside that home. Inside that home.
Hello, and welcome. Welcome to the live, everyone. Come on in. Welcome. Tonight, we are celebrating Men's Mental Health Month, and I want to welcome all of you. Come on in, share this live, okay? Share this live because we are going to share some great tips tonight. You're going to hear an incredible story of someone who have been through his journey and he have overcome. He is still going through, of course, because healing is a process, right? But he has healed enough to share his story tonight. So I want to welcome all of you. I'm streaming on Facebook, YouTube and Instagram. So if you see me looking all over, that's why, right? Share the live, you all, as you come on in. Thank you all so much. As oh, somebody distracted me. Sorry. Texted me on there. Right. So tonight we are going to be talking about, our focus is on, even though it's Mental Health Month for men, our focus will be on divorce, navigating divorce, because we know that divorce is a challenging thing. And like we said, what I like to say, divorce is like the death of a loved one. Nobody gets married, especially if you're married for love, right? For it to end up in a divorce. You really stick true to your vows, and you said till death do us part. But when we go through that process of divorce, it can be very challenging. And some of the things you can experience is loneliness, right? Depression, anxiety, substance abuse. So I want to read something really quick before I bring on my guests tonight. Some very startling statistics that I think a lot of people don't realize. And we look at men and we think that they don't hurt because they don't express themselves as we do, right? So we think that, okay, men don't hurt, they're strong and all of that. But we know men have been, since they're a child, right? We hear things like boys don't cry, big boys don't cry, right? So like a child will fall and the parent will say, oh, get up, don't cry, or dust your foot off and go again. So they were not taught how to express their emotions in a healthy way, right? So statistics shows that there are three things that happens to a man, especially when he goes through a difficult time, including like divorce, and that is anxiety, depression, and substance abuse. Depression, and it's crazy. They said approximately 6 million men every single year suffer from depression. And the symptoms of depression is not like women, right? Their symptoms, they said, is irritability, anger, and aggression. Those are the three things, right? So even though they experience some types of sadness, irritability, anger, and aggression is the top three symptoms that the men experience when they go through depression. Then the prevalence of anxiety, it says that men go through anxiety because of social pressure, because of finances, right? They are looked upon as the provider, and they are always stressed out about money and not being able to take care of their families. So they're more prone, right, to experience anxiety. And that anxiety looks like headaches. So they're going to get headaches, right? Sometimes you probably have a headache as a man, and you might thinking, oh, probably you work too hard or you didn't drink enough water. But statistics says that headache is a symptom of anxiety. So if you're having a lot of headaches, pay attention to that. Muscle aches, difficulty sleeping, and not being able to regulate your emotions, of course. And then they talk about substance abuse, right? Because that's the first thing, for the most part, a man will go to as a coping mechanism. Alcohol become his go-to. So he goes to turn to alcohol, and they are more prone to getting addicted to substance abuse, alcohol, illicit drugs, all of that. What is also very, very startling, and I have done this study like when I was in school, was the suicidal rate. 3.5 times more than women. Men tend to attempt suicide. That's crazy. You will think as a woman, and 50% of the time they follow through with it. Because why? Men did use weapons, right? They don't go take some pills and go and sleep, or like what a woman would do. They don't do that. That's why 50% of the time when they attempt suicide, they passed away, they die. It's successful because of the level of the suicide, the what it is that they use, right? Mostly guns, right? That's what they said that they use. So tonight, like I said, we're talking about navigating life after divorce, and those are the three things that men go through when it comes to dealing with divorce: the anxiety, depression, substance abuse, right? So we are going to hear from my guest, my wonderful special guest. I've met him about a year ago or so. And I really believe that it's a divine connection, right? I believe it's a divine connection. Sometimes we meet people in our lives and we we don't understand. We probably think it's for one thing, but it's always something bigger, right? So I really believe it's a divine connection. He also have been through divorce, and he experienced some difficulties based on what he shared with me. It was through a betrayal, right? But I'll have him share his story. So I want you to welcome on stage Mr. Bo.
Wow, what an introduction. Oh my goodness.
I didn't
And
even say about your kids, right? But you will talk about your two
yeah,
daughters and stuff like that.
we're gonna get into all that tonight, that's for sure.
Yes.
What an amazing introduction. I've had a lot of introductions in my life, but nothing like that. You immediately hit me in my heart with that video.
Oh,
I've never heard that song, but I'm sitting here and we're live on TikTok as well on this end, and a handful of people say, "Wow, that song is hitting really hard right now." So,
yes,
uh,
yes. And I want people to really. I'm gonna send that song out because I was looking for a song to relate to, and it wasn't like well, to relate to the mental health month, and that song made me cry. And I'm not a man, right? That song really made me cry
I
because
almost went out and got the box of tissues, and I said, "You know what? Dr. Marlene is not going to get me before we even got started today. It's not going
yeah,
to
because
happen."
because I was like, wow, like these men. And I had a friend of mine today, and maybe you will touch on that talk about, he mentioned the ATM. And I
Mm.
said to him, that's the song. The song that I'm gonna play tonight is gonna talk about that men feel that way, that they're only there to be used. Basically, that's how they feel. They feel like, if I can't provide for you, if I can't supply your needs in whatever way, then I'm no good for you. That's the pressure?
Yeah, I mean, especially in my when I was married, you're there and you fill a role, and I mean, from the other side of that, I think a wife or a woman also fills a role in a family dynamic. Um, But yeah, it's tough for sure. Especially a dad of two daughters. They're 11, almost 12, and 8 now. They were younger. I've been divorced now for 4 years, and but it's still, I still remember some of these memories like they were yesterday, and with good reason. There was a lot of good times during the marriage, and we're gonna dig deep into some of the
Yeah.
darker times for sure.
Yes, 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 yes. So thank you. I want to thank you again, Bo, for really
Thank you for having me. Yeah.
for no, but for you for saying yes, right? Because a lot of times these are things that needs to be talked about a lot more, because men don't, I don't know if they have the space for that, to express themselves because of the stigma, right? So anyway, we're gonna get that
If I can
right into.
answer that real quick, I just want to say that one of the reasons that I am here and one of the reasons that I am able to share my story, not just here, but over the last couple of years, is because I do believe that I went through that experience so that I can help the next person. That,
Yes,
we all go through things for a reason. You mentioned, how you and I connected, and, everything happens for a reason, uh, for whatever the reasons are that we thought that they were in the beginning, to how we use that to our advantage, or to help the next person now.
right.
That's why I'm here.
Exactly. Yep, and that's true, right? So, all righty, let's get into the first question. So we're gonna have some real deep questions, guys. Hey, share the live, share. I'm going to share because you want to hear. Okay, this not only for the man, but for the woman who love the man, like me. So, how did the first question for you, both? How did you cope with the emotional and social or societal stigma surrounding divorce, and overcoming the perception of failure when it comes to divorce? Because I met a lot of men who will always reference that word and say, I failed.
Big,
So,
big,
how
and
did you
and
deal
as
with
a man, right? We can't fail, especially when you have a marriage, you have kids, you've got a job, you've got bills, you've got all these things that are on your shoulders. failure is not an option. We've been taught since we were young kids, even playing sports when we're growing up, is like, whatever it takes to win. And so that was one of the big things that I had to overcome in the very beginnings of like going from separation to, okay, this is a divorce. And I had to, in retrospect now, I think you would probably call it a identity death. I think is sort of the trauma way of looking at it. And I had no idea what it was called back then, but this idea that who I was yesterday and who I've been in this 12 years of marriage is not who I am anymore. That doesn't mean it's a failure. It's just different. And so you go through sort of a rebirth process. And the biggest thing that stuck with me is there are no losses anymore. I have no losses. There are no defeats. I mean, if I die, I guess, that's the ultimate loss in some perspectives. But for me, it's win or learn now. There are no more losses. I either win, I achieve the goal that I set out for, or I'm going to learn something along the way. And so I had to look at divorce the same way. It wasn't a loss. I learned something in that. I learned a whole lot. And, it's sort of forgiving yourself in that perspective as well. You don't take things nearly as serious either.
Right.
So that was a huge mantra that's helped me along the way.
Good. And probably that's one of the things you can go back to, like when we talk about what helps you and stuff, because that's good, because a lot of times we look, and that helped me also, like there's no failure. That's an illusion, right? Failure is an illusion. Mistakes are illusion. Those things are illusion. We are here to learn lessons and to evolve. And I look at people as my teachers. That's what I look at. I look at them and say, even if you're a child, it doesn't matter what it is. Do this person come into my life to teach me something, to show me something about me? It's not always how we expect it to go, but learn the lesson. So I really glad that you said that as a man, that you didn't fail. You didn't fail. That was,
I think one of the key words that you kind of glossed over is the expectations. And so, part of the failure in that divorce is the expectation that everyone else had of you.
right.
That maybe you failed because your best friend is still married, or your parents don't believe in divorce, or somebody else outside of you and outside of your family had an expectation of you, and they might think less of you now, or they might judge you now.
Right.
That's a hard thing to overcome. But for me, it's like, at this point in my life, I live with, I keep my kids obviously as a high priority in my life, but I don't really care about anybody else's expectations of me. What makes me happy at the end of the day? Am I taking care of the things I need to take care of still? But, really expectation, like really think about, like, why are you doing something if it's only because somebody expected that of you? What kind of joy is that bringing to your life?
Right. And I just, I mean, we can go on and on about that word expectation, because just today I said the same thing. I think it was a conversation I had yesterday that went into today. Like I think I went online and talked about it too. Yeah. Like people have so much expectations about you, right? And how we need to get away from that. Like all of these high expectations for somebody else, that is dangerous, I think, of doing that, because people can't really meet our expectations. So we should have expectations for ourselves, I think, right? So the next question is, so when it comes to your children, and you mentioned your two daughters and stuff, how has your relationship with your children been affected by divorce? And even as you're talking about that part, talk about co-parenting, right? Like dealing with
We'll spend an hour on that.
I know, that's true. That's a whole masterclass.
It is.
That's like a 3-day masterclass, right?
Yeah.
Because co-parenting, especially with the person who hurt you, is very different. And especially if you are in a place where you have been healing and working on your own, mental health, your emotional health, and this person is still there. Because one of the things is like, like I always say, when we choose those people into our lives based on where we were in our spiritual journey, right? So I don't like to call people loser or you're a waste of time. No, because guess what? I'm calling that to my seat because I attracted that, right? I didn't only attracted that, but I entertained that into my life. So that's why I would not put the blame game, because I entertained that. And there's something within me that drew that person to me. So if I say that person is a loser, I'm saying that to myself too, because I attracted that. So when it comes to, but it's difficult now when you have, now you're doing the inner work and you're healing, but then the same person is on that same journey. So now you're seeing from a different perspective, wow, like how much I have grown, right? Instead of saying, wow, she's toxic. So how it is that the relationship with your children, how did that divorce affected them? And what did you do to maintain that bond with them?
Yeah.
And even with the co-parenting?
Well, we'll get to the co-parenting, because the thing with the children is so important to me. So one of the things, again, everything happens for a reason. So I was a child of divorce. My parents divorced when I was 6, 7 years old. And so for, let's call it 10, 15 years while I'm growing up and my dad's not really in my life, I have these questions of why me, why me, why me?
Right.
And it wasn't until 20 something years later, until I went through my own divorce with my own kids that are in that same age range, until it's sort of like, that's why. That's why I went through that, is so that I can help them go through this. And so it also made the divorce more painful for me, because I always grew up saying, I'm never going to raise children in that same environment. And that was part of that failure equation that we talked about earlier. I had to get over that. Right. And I had to say, I am not my dad. Just because the marriage ended in the same way that his did, does not mean that I am him, or it does not mean that it failed in the same way that his failed. And so I think I have a unique perspective because of that, where, especially in the first couple of weeks, we're all crying together, right? Me and my kids, we're holding each other, and I'm telling them, I've been there. I understand exactly what you're feeling, exactly what you're thinking. You're confused, you're angry, you're sad. You just want mom and dad to like get in the car together and everybody go to the movies like we used to. You just want to have a beach day, everybody be happy. And it's never going to happen. And so, we cried a lot. We stayed up late at night. There were a few things that were very important to me that my mother did for me when I was that age. Number one, I knew it was important to me to have primary custody of my kids. That I knew that I was the parent that I'm not downplaying my ex-wife, but it made sense in my marriage or my divorce for me to be primary custody. Right. And that also meant me purchasing the home, because stability is critical. They bounce around during COVID. They're bouncing around to all these different schools and all this change. And the divorce is the biggest change they'll ever experience. I want them to know that their bedroom is not going to change, that they still have a home and they still live here, and they know no matter what, they have a bad day, good day, whatever, they can come back here, and they've got a safe space to be in. And we continue. We don't talk about it as much. Obviously, time heals a little bit, and they're getting a little bit older, and it's become normal now. But I'd say we have a great relationship. If you've seen any of my TikTok videos, some of the best ones. Actually, I think the most popular TikTok video today is of my then 6-year-old giving 3 pieces of advice to kids that are going through a divorce. And if you haven't seen it, that's some powerful stuff there.
I saw that video. Yes, yeah. I saw it with her. Yeah, but very, very powerful. Yes.
And we just try to talk about it. And I think having a conversation like this for me is healing. And so if it heals me and having these kind of conversations, it's going to help them by having those same conversations.
Yes.
Yep.
And we got to talk about it. That's the thing. It's like talking about it. But like you said, the co-parenting, I mean, you can touch briefly on it because I know that is a very deep topic, and maybe
Yeah.
later, another time we talk about it like in depth. But I've known a lot of people who have to deal with that parent, the person who hurt
I
them.
still do.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I get it.
So you gotta, so what, like, share one thing or two things quickly with some people who are dealing with that. Like, what works for you?
Number one, you can't control anything other than what's in your mind,
Right.
right? I can't control if she does something that I don't think she should do, other than if she's breaking the law, right? If she's breaking the law and she's got the kids, I've got some legal recourse. But other than that, I can't control, who they're around, what they're doing, what they're not doing. And as a husband, and during the marriage, you have a level of control.
Mm-hmm.
So does the wife in that dynamic. It's a very, I guess in a good marriage, it's a shared control of how the house runs. But, she ended up with her own house. She ended up with her own boyfriend. She ended up with a lot of things that I don't necessarily agree with. But again, unless she's breaking the law, I can't do anything about it.
Right.
And so I have to let that go. And it's easy for me to say that 4 years later.
Mm-hmm.
It's a process to get there, though.
Right.
And, there's a few things that I did. Number one, I've been in therapy. I've been with the same therapist since, actually, she started as a marriage counselor for us. And I resonated with her, and I still see her once a month. I only meet with her a half hour every month now, but back then it was like every other week for an hour. It was
right.
You gotta go through that stuff. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm so glad you said that, that you go to therapy, because a lot of men don't think that they need to go to therapy. They think.
The number one, let me say this. I want to make sure I say this correctly because it's very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
I have a mother who is still my best friend. I've got a girlfriend today. I've got best friends since I was 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I know that no matter what, I can get an honest answer out of one person in this world. And that's my therapist, because she probably knows me as well as all those other people. And quite frankly, she's getting paid to give me her honest answer.
Right.
And she can give me an honest answer because she knows that I am willing and able to accept the things that she tells me, and I'm not going to crumble and shut down the computer and run away.
Right.
I might not always like what she has to say, but I can rely that whatever she tells me is going to be the truth. And there's not a whole lot of people as a man that you can have an honest conversation about anything you want and trust that you're going to get an honest answer back from that person. That's hard to find.
Yeah, it is. That's true. Because a lot of times people tell you what you want to hear. But then, like you said, also, it's like sometimes if you really want an honest answer, but then you get the honest answer and then you throw a temper tantrum, right? Yeah. So it's like, what do you want? Do you so, but men I mean, there's so much societal pressure, even going to therapy, like even doing the things that is needed for them for their mental health. It's just a whole bunch of I don't know, it's men have it difficult. Men do have it difficult. And a lot of times we bash men. I hear people bash men all the time, but there are some really good men out there, just as how there are some women out there who, I mean, but anyway. So basically, how difficult was, okay, so you basically answered that question, to reach out for help. You needed it, even though you couldn't deal with the real answers at first.
I want to add to that I am absolutely recognizing the privilege that I have. Number one, to be able to afford a therapist, or number two, to have healthcare insurance that covers the cost of that therapist. Right. And it is a huge issue for first responders, military, and who knows who else to be able to find not just qualified, but good help. This is why people like you that do what you do are so critical to this whole circle. This whole ecosystem relies on people like you that have gone through the education or life experience or both, and have created an availability of your expertise to the world. And without that, I mean,
Yeah.
this
But
thing falls apart very quickly.
It does, yeah. And that's the thing is, but it's up to people though to go searching for that, right? Because it's like it's there, and we know that there are people who are not probably a good fit for
Yep.
you, but if you really want something, you're gonna get it.
That's right.
Right? But sometimes it's just like the help is there, the opportunities are there, but is like you have to do the work, and you gotta be so sick and tired of being stuck and being in a place of misery, depression, anxiety, and say, you know what, this is not the life that I want to live. This is not an abundant life. This life is depressing. Who wants to live like that? Right? So we have to take that opportunity, like you said, like there's opportunities available. You went looking for help. You went searching for it, even though you weren't too pleased about the answers that you get, but you went looking for it, right? So what are some of the mindfulness practices? Because I know this is free. No, you have to pay for it, people. You can start there.
We accept donations.
Right, so you can start there. For those of you who probably saying, I don't have, I can't afford. Listen, you can't afford. Your health is so much more important than anything else. You can afford whatever you want. Trust me. We are people. If I really want something, I'm going to find that money somewhere.
That's right.
I'm going to find it because, so, but then give us some of what mindfulness practices have you found that was helpful in dealing with your divorce?
The number one thing, I believe this played a part in saving my life. I was suicidal. I had moments of like, there's nobody out there. I don't have anybody. Even though I had a best friend, I had a mother, at the time, my best friend was my wife, and I had feelings of abandonment, severe abandonment that started from when I was 5 years old. And my dad said, I'm coming to pick you up next weekend. And he never showed up. For 10 years, he never showed up. And so that old wound, that childhood wound, was reopened immensely during a divorce. And so meditation, number one, easiest thing. It costs you nothing. The hardest part in the beginning is staying awake. Let's be honest.
I know, right?
And it probably takes you a handful of times before you start to feel and reap the benefits of meditation. But for me, it got to a point, and it's still part of my daily practice, sometimes multiple times a day, where I know that no matter what noise is going around, either inside my head or the stresses of being a dad, at that time, a single dad, going through a divorce, still working, a full-time job, going through the legal process of a divorce, money issues, buying a house, all those things, I know that I can put my phone on do not disturb for 10 minutes, and I can find a quiet corner, and it's gone. Those things will still be back, but my brain will have a sense of organization to it that it didn't have before that meditation. And so I would strongly suggest anybody, if you haven't done a meditation, just simple, go to Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, whatever, 5-minute meditation for beginners, and just do it. Do it every day for a week, and then just, grow. And, today I do it with my kids. My kids love it. They've got guided meditations where they're talking about kids going through a jungle and getting across a river. And I mean, it's beautiful. Now I'm at the point where I do, hour-long sound bowl meditations. I went to Costa Rica and did a 2-hour breathwork session. I mean, there's amazing things that can be done just with the control of your breath and shutting off your mind and giving it a break. It's incredible.
Yes.
That's my rant about meditation.
Yeah, no, you're right. And listen, I rant about it all the time. People think I'm crazy. Like, that helped me. Like, meditation helped me so much. Heal me from so many things, because when your mind is busy and so much things coming into the noise, right? It's like the anxiety, the stress, that cortisol that keeps releasing when your mind is just stressed out. That healed me, like literally meditation. So I always talk about it and people think, oh, whatever, but you know what, it helped me. And then you co-signing that too, that it's helped you as well. Like I talk, and it's free, but because we are not so used to sitting still,
Hard.
so sit still for 1 second, like 1 minute. People can't. Their mind is all over. They can't put the phone down. That's so unhealthy.
It is.
It is so unhealthy, and it's not gonna help, especially if you're going through some type of, and not only divorce, but if you're dealing with any type of situations, you need to sit still and let your mind be still for a little bit, because it's so helpful, right? It's so like I can't talk about meditation like I do with my clients. I do visualization. We do that. Like I go through that process with them, and even I'm going to start a guided meditation YouTube. That's how much I love meditation now, right? Because
Absolutely.
my client was telling me, you need to have a YouTube, you need to do something about it and make it accessible to everybody else, because it helped me so much. And I've seen, the breath work, like you mentioned, being able to control your breath, like these simple things that we think is nothing is so impactful and powerful that it regulates our nervous system.
I would argue that there's probably no point in time in human history where meditation is as important as it is today.
Oh,
We have a phone in our pocket. I have two phones. I got a work phone and a phone. I got 4 screens sitting here, 2 kids, a job, all kinds of notifications, ding, 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 emails, text, whatever. So many distractions.
yeah.
We have wired our brains to constantly, every 3 seconds, expect to
You
hear
need it.
a noise and like,
Dopamine. Yep. And if you don't hear it, we go check the phone.
why am I not hearing it?
That's the dopamine hit. Because that's the craving. That's the same thing like an addict.
That's right.
The same thing.
Yep.
And a lot of people are addicted, and they look at the drug addict, they look at the people who want drugs, who want alcohol. You're an addict if you can't put that phone down or leave that phone home and go out and come back.
To me, meditation is the number one thing, not just for people going through a divorce, not just for somebody that's overthinking and overanalyzing. To me, it's anxiety. It's all things related to mental health. That's the number one thing you can do to help yourself today if you're challenged with anything mental health related. Even if you're not, I had a good day. I can promise you before I go to bed tonight, I'm gonna do a 10-minute meditation.
Yes, and that's 10 minutes. 10 minutes do wonders, right?
That's right.
Yeah, you hear that, guys? Listen, guys and girls, listen. Do something.
Everybody.
Everybody come do it, right?
And do it with your kids. Like if you got kids at home, get them involved. Like
Yeah.
my 8-year-old asks me to do meditations now. Like that.
Yeah.
I didn't know what meditation was until I was 30 years old. Like my mom
I
never
know.
told me about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Because they didn't know. But now that when we know, we pass it on, right? Because
We're generational healers. That's
right.
everybody here.
That's right. That's right. All right. So the next question is like, so because when we go through divorce or a breakup, right? It's breakups too, because I know people who've been together for a long time, they didn't marry but had a breakup or whatever, betrayal. How did you rebuild your self-esteem and your confidence? Because that can really, like, men deal with it different. Women, revenge is like a revenge body. They want to go to the gym. They want to work. Women wants to go, like, after a breakup. I don't know what is up with that. Like, women run to the gym, right? It's like, I'm going to get my revenge body.
Look,
Like,
I'm about to go down a road for you right now, and like I'm gonna be brutally honest. I had to look and see, make sure there's like no family that's listening, because I got nothing to hide. But like, one of the things I had to do, because I was married for 12 years. We had dated for years before that. Let's call it 15 years since I met another woman in any kind of way. I had to go on dates, and so the first thing I had to say was like, because I had no problem getting girls when I was 20, 21. So I had to be like, do I still have it? And if I don't have it, can I get it back? Like that swagger, that confidence. And so you got to date. I'll give you an example. There's a good friend of mine. She's a woman, and she has gone through a divorce. It's probably been 2 years now. And she and I have had conversations over those 2 years about her starting to date again. And we would talk about her creating a dating profile. And she would say, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. 2 years later, I said, look, I don't care what you're doing. We're going to take 10 minutes and we're going to create a dating profile right now. And I don't know what's going to come out of it. But the worst thing that comes out of it is you're going to learn a little bit about yourself, and you're not going to live in this fear or this anxiety about, oh my, what if the next person is the worst person I've ever meet, or all these hypotheticals. Long story short, you got to go on a date, and you got to go on bad dates. And for me, a little, not embarrassing, because everything comes with a lesson, but I'm willing to say that I went through a period where I was a sexual addict, that I had to, that was my drug. I was numbing that pain of that divorce with sex. Other people choose drugs, alcohol, things like that. For me, it was sex, and sex was a sport, and it was competitive, and I just wanted to win. And it didn't matter if I just won the game. An hour later, I'm ready to play another game. It was constant. And so it got to an unhealthy place. Obviously I worked through that with my therapist and all the other things that I do, but going on the date still is the number one thing for me. My therapist told me you should be single for every month that you were married for years. So in my case, she wanted me to be single for a year. Okay. But I'm still going to go on dates. I don't need a girlfriend for a year, but I'm going to go on a lot of dates in the meantime.
Right.
So that's the number one thing, is put yourself out there, do it in a healthy way. Don't do it the way I did it, but exercise, obviously have an exercise routine. You can talk about the neuroscience of the endorphins, that the healthy endorphins that are released during exercise. But just feeling good about yourself, eating healthy.
Right.
And then maybe the most underrated thing is accepting the fact that you're doing anything alone, but finding joy in it. So for me, I adopted a love for camping and hiking.
Right.
And in the beginning, it was a little bit of loneliness, but after a while, it was like, you know what? I'm really enjoying this. It's just me, the birds, and the trees, and Mother Nature, and that instilled a lot of confidence in me that no matter what is put in my way, I can handle it. And so those are a few things.
That's good. Good. I'm think somebody is telling me they're not seeing on Facebook. Give me 1 sec. Let me see. I don't know why though. Oh, maybe that's why, because they keep messaging like they're not seeing anything on Facebook. Are you on Facebook? I don't know if are you seeing this live on your because I really don't want them to miss it. They'll probably have to see it after.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah,
we want everybody to hear about my sexual addiction.
No. I don't look at it like that. Like, oh please, who cares? Trust me, you brave to talk. You were talking about stuff, but some people haven't.
Look, everybody's going through something.
Everybody has some type of stuff, okay?
And we're all going through things even today. So
exactly. So why is it not showing though? I need for it to show on Facebook. Like, I don't know what's going on. It's saying something. It's showing on YouTube. It's showing on Instagram. Hi, Janine.
We're live on TikTok. Hi, Neil.
Is it possible the stream was ended or deleted on Facebook? We'll try and let you know if it is out. Please check Facebook to ensure the stream looks okay. Or just remove this destination and re-add it. Okay, guys, so let me remove it and then re-add it, right? That's how it is. That's why we're doing this. We're doing this.
But we can go a little bit longer tonight if you want.
Because yes. So let me see if it's going on Facebook now. Because my daughter, I had a couple. Okay, so it should be live on Facebook now.
We'll go ahead and show everybody this wonderful shirt, by the way. It's hard to read, but let that shit go. That's what it's all about. Whatever it is that's in your head, divorce, mental health, kids, jobs, let it go.
I know, right? Okay, so let let that go. Say it again. Let me see if I can see myself now on if they can see me. Because I remove it. Facebook said remove it and start it again. But for some reason it's saying it's okay, edit privacy. Oh. Okay. This is crazy. That's why I need to get off Facebook.
Wow. Yeah, TikTok doesn't have that problem.
Listen,
Right?
that's why I need to
We're
get off
here.
Facebook.
We're live.
I need to get off. Yeah, they're now seeing me live. That's why I need to get off Facebook. You all, I'm so sorry because we've been on and we've been on and it was saying that we were on, but I keep seeing something in there that oh my God, this is crazy. But you know what? That's okay. We're here now.
That's right.
We're
Are you on
here
Facebook?
now. We've been here. Yeah, it's on now. We've been here. Guys, you all miss out a whole 30 minutes.
Yeah,
They probably miss out the entire video. They probably miss out so much because we were on here for like, but those who on Instagram were seeing me and those who on YouTube were seeing me. But on Facebook, they weren't seeing us at all. So you all miss out. So what I'll do, I will this video
Was none of this on Facebook at all?
it'll be recorded.
Okay.
It's recorded, so I can always post it on Facebook. But it showed me it was blocking something about Russia. Yeah, you all don't come with me with this Russia nonsense. So it wasn't showing, right? So right, but now it's live. I should have checked it first on here when I went first. But anyway, so we talk about your sexual addict. Like,
yeah, let's take it right off there.
We talk about that, right? We talk about that was one of the things that no, I'm joking. So that's how you build. Oh, you saw me? Oh, okay. I don't know. Somebody said they saw me, huh? But I don't know how. Maybe because oh, okay.
It says you're live now. I think we're good now.
Yes, live because somebody was telling me, a couple of people were telling me they're not seeing me, so I wasn't sure about that, right? But okay. No, it's not. Yeah, look, she said it wasn't. So she's looking at me from on YouTube. Okay. Okay, I'm live on Facebook now. I don't know. Something, all I saw is something about Russia. This thing kind of be played and something about Russia.
You're going to have the FBI knocking on my door here soon. I don't know what you're doing.
I know, right? Yes. So, as we were saying, so that's how you rebuild your self-esteem as a man. You were able, you wanted to see if you still got it. And listen, you're not the first person I heard said that. Mm-hmm. Right? And especially saying that you've been in a committed relationship for so long, so you don't even know how the dating world right now. Lord have mercy, like. Oh.
you think about. I don't know how other people's divorces end, but for me, it ended with what I would call like neglect. I would call it a lack of desire from my ex-wife's perspective, and so to go on a date and the very first date feel wanted, like not, it doesn't even have to be in a sexual manner, but like for somebody to want to be in my presence and enjoy me opening the door for her, enjoy a walk on the beach or whatever it is that we're doing, going on a date, like that feeling. And then, obviously sexually is a whole different ballgame. That's magnified times 10.
Right.
But for so long feeling like I'm alone and feeling like, that person that I thought was my best friend, that I built a life with, I built a family with, that she's different now. And that relationship that we had is different now. That's a really, really hard thing for anybody that is going through a divorce that didn't want the divorce, I fought very hard to stay married. I
Right.
gave it everything I have. I probably stuck around a little bit longer than I should have. And we're going to get to a little bit deeper into that in one of these next questions. But yeah, feeling wanted is such a confidence boost when you felt lonely for so long.
Right. That's good. That's good. That's good. Guys, you're hearing, so you're not alone, right? So, and I've heard that before, that men, that's what men, because women, go navigate divorce after in different ways. Like I said, like go to the gym and, you hear things like, probably go back to school. So we build our confidence in different ways, as opposed to a man. A man wants to know that he is still desirable. He is still wanted because he felt that sense of failure, or this person didn't want me, rejection. Like one of my friends said today, like reject, that word, you feel rejected, right? So
Big.
that's what it is. But for a woman, it's so much different, right? How we go through that, how we navigate divorce. So, and the next question is, what new perspectives or life philosophies have helped you move forward positively? I know you mentioned a couple of your mantras, about, you mentioned about failure, right? It's not about failure anymore.
Hmm. Yeah, for me, it's the number one thing, and you and I, we resonate on this one 100%, is that everything is happening for a reason. And the more you resist whatever it is that you're going through, the longer it's going to happen.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
that right there was like the end of my marriage. The longer I resist this thing that I know is inevitable, the longer I try to hold on to fixing this thing and try to get a new therapist and try different date ideas. And, we even have discussions about an open marriage. Like, the more I try to like compensate for something that I know is eventually going to fail, the longer I'm going to suffer. And so it wasn't until I gave up. It wasn't until I woke up that one Saturday morning and I said, you know what? I did everything I could. And I am not doing this anymore. And I'm going to let this happen now. I'm going to give her what the energy that she's been putting out, which is saying, I don't want to be with you anymore.
Right.
And I've been resisting, and I've been, trying to, again, go through all the therapists and the date ideas and all these other things. But all along the way, I'm dying inside. And it wasn't until I gave up. And it wasn't until I said, you know what, this is happening for a reason, and I need to let it happen. I cannot control this anymore. The more I try to control this, the more I'm just suffering and I'm hurting myself.
Right. And that's the thing, right? So that's how, well, for a fact. You said something about open marriage, right? You contemplated on that, and that was something that I know you didn't want.
Nope.
You was
No,
just
but we did it.
you was
We
just
tried
doing you was just doing that because of you think that's what she wants.
Yeah, long story short, we did it. We tried it. The person that she went out with ended up being her boyfriend for a while.
Exactly.
So, that's awkward.
See, it don't work. It's not like, and that's the thing. I'm glad you bring up that point, because a lot of times we were told, right? Like, I mean, I grew up in Christianity, right? So we were told never, ever, ever get divorced unless it is infidelity, right? But the thing is, sometimes you can be in a marriage that is very, and the first thing they say is God don't like divorce. He hates divorce. Of course, God hates divorce. He don't want it because it's like a death of a loved one. But it doesn't say he hates the person, right? He hates the fact that what divorce can do to our family. And this is why we're here talking about this, because of divorce is like a death of a loved one, right? All your hopes and your dreams and all the things that you build together is no longer there. It's gone. It's gone. So that is what God hates. But they use that and they make you, and listen, whoever listening, don't take my, listen, this is my revelation. You take yours. And if you are being abused in a marriage and you're good with that, good for you. I am not staying in any abusive relationship and marriage. You can try how much you want. I know somebody, I have a friend, he was married a couple of times, 3 times, actually 3 times. And he was abused physically by his wives. And he go to the police station and they laugh at him. Oh, you're a man. But if he had hit her, he would have been behind bars, right?
Yep.
He would have been behind bars. So the thing is that, yes, women go through abuse and stuff, but we're talking about men tonight because men do go through stuff too. Men do go through abuse. Different. They go through disrespect. That are very disrespectful women. Men go through women who cheats on them, who disrespect them, who use them and abuse them. Men go through these things too, ladies, not just women alone.
I mean, so, I'll give you the 30-second cliff notes of how I started my divorce process, and it was something that I would consider infidelity. Long story short, I got her a new iPhone for, I think it was Valentine's Day or her birthday or whatever it was, and during the transfer process, I was transferring all her contacts and pictures and all that stuff for her, and it was taking forever. And I let the phone sit on the table overnight, and something woke me up at 3 a.m. Call it intuition, call it, something neurologically. You're the expert there. Something woke me up out of sleep and said, I can't go back to sleep. I'm going to go check on the phone, and I'm going to finish it. And what I saw was not what I saw pictures, videos, conversations, DMs, you name it, with complete strangers around the world. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to put her business out there.
Yes.
But to me, can you imagine, anybody that's listening, can you imagine your significant other like having a completely separate life that you didn't know about? And the worst part about all that, I saw all these pictures and all these conversations, and that's all one thing. The worst part about it was she would talk shit about me to a random person. Like at one point I took a trip to China for business, and I came home and one of the comments was, I wish he was still in China.
Oh, wow.
You see that at 5 o'clock in the morning, it changes your life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what time of day it is, but things like that. I mean, it's one of the ultimate ways of disrespecting the sanctity of marriage or trust in a relationship. All it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, that is going to be hurtful. Absolutely. Especially when you're working, you're providing for your family and being a good man, a good husband, a good father. And then that is what you have to deal with, right? Because a lot of times we talk about men in such a negative, derogatory way, but there are really good men out there. They do have good men out there. I have friends, like really, really good men.
You got one on live with you right now.
I know, yes. Yes, I have another one. I have a few friends who are really good men. So that's why, it's like, who will advocate for the men? It's because everybody's throwing them under the bus. Everybody's thinking these men and these men no good, on these men this and these men that. But there are good men who I know that women did bad, did them real bad. And I would get upset and say, why are you doing all of that? Why are you driving 2 hours to cut her yard? I was like, stop that nonsense. You know what I mean? It's like, because this person is using you. I'm literally seeing that they're using you, right? Yeah. So it's like, but because of their heart and such a good heart, and put all into a relationship, some people take it for granted, right? So men, we're talking tonight about men navigating life after divorce. For those of you who just come in, this is Bo, and he's sharing his story on how he is navigating life after divorce, being married for 12 years and being in a relationship with this person for like 15 years, and the things that he have been through and how he have overcome and is living a more fulfilling, successful life now in a very flourishing relationship, right? So it's possible. It's possible.
I want to add that we are here for the viewers You and I know each other's story. You know, we're here for to provide value to the people that are chimed in. If you have
Ask
questions, comments,
questions.
yeah, please, like
Yes.
that's what we're here for.
Bring the questions on. If you have questions, bring it on. Let's talk about it. So the next question is, so we have to, but I mean, we talk about so many things that it's probably going to be intertwined. Number 7, right? How have you balanced acknowledging the pain of your divorce with embracing new opportunities?
Yeah, and so I took some notes. You know, identity death is the first thing that comes up for me.
Identity.
Is, you know, as I filled a role, and it was as a husband, it was as a father, it was as a provider, both financially but emotionally. You know, just supporting everybody else. There's a phrase now of emptying my cup. You know, giving everybody everything that I have.
Mm-hmm.
And you mentioned earlier, like the death of the family. And it is, you know, for anybody that hasn't been through a divorce, maybe you have a friend that's going through it, it is like somebody dying. You know, my grandfather or my grandmother passed away last year, and I grieved, very similar to how I would grieve after a marriage or after a failed marriage. You know, it's tough. It's really, really tough. But the moment, you know, the word acceptance comes to mind, and you know, resisting that identity death is like, again, it's just delaying the inevitable. And so, you know, accepting an awareness of, you know, what it is that you're going through and how your life's going to change. You don't know exactly what that new normal is going to be like for you, but you know what it was yesterday, and that's gone.
Right.
You know that your ex-wife is not sleeping in the same bed as you tonight. You know, that first weekend when your kids aren't in your house with you, that's weird. And that lasts for like 10 more weeks. You know, it's just weird until it becomes normal again. That sense of loneliness when you're sitting there on a Saturday night and the house is completely silent, other than I got a dog. I got a dog and 8 chickens. Like other than that noise from those animals, that is a weird feeling for the first time. And
Right.
knowing that like there's nobody there. There's, you know, your kids aren't coming home for another day. Your wife is no longer your wife. She's not calling to check in on you and tell you she's on the way home, or like you're not on a vacation either.
Right.
You're somewhere where I didn't want to be. I'll speak for myself.
Right.
That's tough. But accepting that and leaning into it, not running away from those emotions. We talked about numbing the pain earlier, drugs, alcohol, sex, you know, be mindful of those things. Those things are addictions. They are not a healthy way to deal with that. I can speak from experience. There are a lot of healthy tools. You know, we talked about meditation. Yoga is huge for me. Please, men, like let's start going to yoga more. Seriously, like I go every Saturday morning, and maybe there's one other guy in there. There's like 20 women. By the way, if you're a single man looking to find a date, like there's 20 women at a yoga class every Saturday morning. So, you know, there's a lot of tools out there, you know, build confidence, but, you know, accepting that what it was is not what it's going to be anymore. That's tough.
Right. And that's the thing. That's your journey, right? We all are on. We are not here to talk about what works for you, what we shouldn't do, what we because my audience, I have a mixed audience, right? And I have people in my audience that don't believe in yoga, and then there are people, right? We're not here about it's not about religious debate tonight.
I'm not here to talk about religion.
I know that.
You got the wrong one.
I'm going to say it because I know I have my audience. I know, right? Who listening in and who might listen to the replay. I know, oh my God, yoga, I'm done. They're going to shun, whatever. Take what you have, as we say, eat the meat, spit out the bone, whatever. Or don't eat nothing at all, or don't eat anything at all, right? We're not here to talk about this is Bo's story. This is his life. This is his journey. I'm not here to say what is right and what is wrong. That's none of my business, right? We are here to talk about navigating life after divorce and what is working for him. That's his journey. That's his business. Like I said today, right? I'm not going to be projecting my belief on anybody, right? That's working for you. Great, awesome, wonderful, right? So I love how you talk about the acceptance, right? You talk about really accepting it. What you resist persists. We have to accept, because the longer we don't accept it, we carry it on longer. And that's how you mentioned you felt as though you stayed there longer than you should have, because you were resisting. And the more you resist, it's going to continue to persist and continue to persist until you say, you know what, this is it. And that's the first step to grief. Like even when you the first stage of grief, accepting it is what it is. This is what it is, right? So, well, not the first step actually, but you know what I mean. So we got to
It's a big step. I don't know where it is on the ladder, but it's a big one.
yeah. So we got to accept, acknowledge it is for what this is what it is, and then keep it moving, right?
You know, that's a really, really hard thing. And I have a couple Facebook groups of specifically men that are going through a divorce. And the the stories that I hear from them, and you can tell a lot about where a person is by the perspective of what they're telling in that story, the way that they're telling the story.
Right.
And they tell a story, especially when it's new. And this is, I think, a huge thing for anybody going through a divorce, is, really just stopping and saying, okay, if I were to remove the emotional element of what is happening right now, which is really, really hard because you love that person, you have a emotional connection to that person, a bond for years.
Yeah.
If you were to remove that though, and you were to look at the situation objectively, and if you were to say, that's my neighbor going through that, it's not me, you would say, okay, this is now the ending of a business relationship. Because that's essentially what a divorce is. Find a lawyer, get the paperwork started, all that kind of stuff. The faster you can go from I'm emotionally reacting to this situation to flipping that switch and saying, okay, now we're getting down to business. And now now that person is the adversary on the other side of the table. That's a really hard thing. For years, that person's sitting next to you. You're buying houses together. You're having kids together. You're each other's champion. You're feeding off each other's energy. You're going on vacations together. Now you're on the other side of the table, and you got different attorneys. And now she's the opponent. That's twisted.
It is.
Accepting that she's going to be over there. The sooner they get to that point, the better off they all are. I promise.
Yeah. That's and like you said, it is twisted, because nobody gets, especially if you're in love with someone and you get married, nobody gets married to get a divorce.
Nobody.
Right? Especially if you, again, except those celebrities who do prenups and stuff. Because when you have a prenup, it's like, okay, I'm already, in case this happens, so I'm setting myself up. You already have an exit plan. Right? Those celebrities have exit plans, right? We don't have exit plan. We get into it for till death. We really do, right? But
I mean, that's the intention. Yeah. And, I've heard a lot of people that say, I've been married for 40, 50 years and I made it work. Why couldn't you? And they're putting that shame and that guilt, trying to put that game and show on me. And I say, I can't control what that other person thinks and does and acts and feels. And I don't have that control over that person. I don't know how you did that for 40, 50 years. Congratulations. But it has nothing to do with my marriage. Thank you for your opinion.
And that's what I'm talking. Hi, Dr. G. How are you doing? Blessings to you. That's the same thing I've been saying. People project, right? Because that happened. Great, amazing, that's good. But it takes two. And also 40 years ago to now, 10 years ago, like even when you see now on social media, when you see people like all these half-naked women too on Instagram and like all this type of stuff out there, it's so much more distractions.
Yes.
So much more difficult. To me now, it's like like phones and being on. I see people in relationships break up because of the phone. You go out and two people are at the table waiting for their food and they're on their phone. Where's the conversation? I see
What
it
kind
all
of date
the
is
time.
that? You're dating your phone.
Yeah. So it's the phone, like, so everybody's so distracted and so absorbed with all of these other things, that because you're showing me that what is going on social media is so much more important than me. That's a priority. I'm not your priority. So these are the things now that is going to be affecting people's marriages. With all of these distractions on your phone is one. I mean, it's just ridiculous, right? But like you said, you cannot control your ex
Anything.
or anything. Right? That she have to make her decision, and she choose to make the decision that she made. And you know what? You got to be okay with it, right? So that's just what it is. Like, you got to be okay with people's decisions and their choices, and not try to even shame them for that. That's their choice, and they made the decision. Bye.
That's
See
right. Let
you.
them.
Right? Life have to go on. But I don't like when people try to shame you and to guilt trip you because their divorce or their marriage lasted and yours didn't. Like, something is wrong with you. That is what they're trying to say. Like, something is wrong with you, and this self-righteousness that needs to cut off. And that's why I think a lot of times, even people who are divorced, they feel so lonely. They feel as though they're in a category by themselves that has been forgotten about. Like, you divorced, like you damaged goods or used goods or whatever. I don't
Pause
know.
real quick, right? Because remember that video that you played in the very beginning, and think back to all the reasons that men already, even when they're still married or in a relationship, all the reasons that they already feel isolated. And
Right.
then you shrink that demographic now to a divorced man
Yeah.
at 42 years old, when it's hard to maintain friendships. That's even a smaller demographic. That's even more alone and isolated than he used to be.
Yeah, you are. And do you know the age group that have the highest suicidal rate or attempt is between 42. I mean, not 42, it's 44 and 60. They have some that are younger too, like young boy between 18 and 21 and 22, but the highest is between 44 and
For men.
60 for men.
Yeah.
The suicidal rate, they said they're lonely, they're going through different midlife challenges,
Yeah.
divorce, right? All the different things that are happening in their life, probably the death of a spouse as well, right? So all these different things, they're lonely. And that's the age group. Between that age, that is so scary, right?
It
That
is.
is
And
so
so
scary for men.
that's one of the reasons that I've been doing what I do with Chill Champ and videos, whether it's TikTok or Facebook or wherever, is really like, again, it comes back to, I know we weren't on Facebook in the very beginning, but really just telling our story with the intention of helping one person. Like,
Yeah,
that's what it comes down to. Like, if this last hour and 17 minutes helped one person with one thing, to me, it was all worth it. Like,
yeah,
I take this stuff very, very seriously, especially Men's Mental Health Month. Like,
yeah,
nobody's really talking about it. Like,
yeah,
you and I are talking about it tonight, but in general, it's not really a thing that has a whole lot of sponsorships and,
yeah.
like some other monthly campaigns like that.
But we're gonna change that. We're gonna change that, Bo. We can change the
Yeah.
narrative, right? We can change it and be the one who be the trailblazer, right?
Yeah.
You know something? Because you're right. Like, it, where's the man? Father's Day, oh, whatever. Like, a place like a ghost town. Like, there's not enough things that are being done to help men.
One of the things that is a real challenge for men is vulnerability, is being able to not come on social media and be on live on every social media platform and tell their story, but literally tell their story and how they're feeling to a best friend,
Yeah,
a parent, a spouse or significant other, a therapist, Um, a lot of men, many men, don't have anyone that they feel that they can talk to and trust that what they say is going to stay with that person. Um, a lot of times, and this is not just men, but across the board, it's a lot of like, if I'm coming to you to vent and you come back to me immediately and say, yeah, me too. I'm going through that too. Like, man up.
Yeah, no.
That's not the person. Go find somebody else. That's not the
Yeah,
person that you should be venting to. I don't know
yeah.
who that person is, but they shouldn't. Find somebody else,
Mhm.
because that's not somebody that has your best interest in heart.
Right.
That's somebody that hears what they want to hear and they think it's just a complaint, and they're just saying, yeah, I have it hard too, because they're looking to have some sympathy as well. When somebody's coming to
Absolutely.
you and they want to vent about what they're going through, listen.
Listen.
We have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Listen.
Listen.
Women, listen. I'm speaking to the women too. Listen.
2 ears, 1
Listen
mouth.
to the men. Yes, need to listen. Don't jump in there and get all emotional. Don't jump in there and start talking. Listen to the men in your lives. Listen, because they have enough to deal with out there, and then to come home where it's supposed to be a safe haven. There's a lot of talk, a lot of drama, a lot of like, look at
Bad
me.
energy, negativity.
Listen,
Yeah.
and that's the thing. Men really do have it hard, and like you talk about you talked about the vulnerability, right? I don't know, but that's very challenging for men to be, because again, society makes that they have this persona of how a man should be tough, be
This
tough
is one of
all
my
the time.
favorite subjects. We're about to go deep. Go ahead. I didn't mean to
Yeah,
cut you off.
a
I'm ready.
man should be tough, and I gotta be tough for everybody. I gotta be tough for my family, for my job, on this one depending on me, that one, everybody depending on me. So the weight of the world is on this man, right? So, like we say in Trinidad, who gonna guard the gods?
Ooh, I
Who
need
gonna
to
guard the
consider that.
gods?
Hmm.
Because if they're being all of the things like superhero for everybody else, who is their superhero? Who's been there for them? Who's been there for them? And men need to stop that. I know it's a stigma, and I know that we that's how you were taught, but that's not the way you were given emotions for a reason. And emotions are meant to be expressed. And you know what happened to your emotions when you don't express it and you just keep suppressing it? It won't blow up. And you know how it blows up? Either in aggression, anger, suicide, or you get disease in your body. You get sick because it have to come out somewhere. It have to come out, because that's part of the process, right? It have to come out. But they numb themselves and they just say, just, I got this. I got this. No, you don't. We'll go sit down somewhere and relax. Sometimes it's okay. You don't have to grab and get everything. This is Men's Mental Health Month, and it's not just for this month only, but it's to be aware of the things that men go through mentally. And that and when you're dealing with anxiety is a mood disorder, but it shows up different in men. It shows up totally different in men than a woman, right? So when you find yourself being very irritable and easily angered, anxiety.
One of my favorite quotes. I have a whiteboard right here that's littered with quotes. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. As men, we are trained since young children to be warriors, to be strong, to be fighters, to be relentless in our pursuit of taking care of others and providing, and safety and security and all these things. We forget along the way that it's okay to be soft, have a feminine energy. Again, there's a lot of things that I do that a lot of men would consider feminine. Having this conversation, honestly, if we went out to the mall and we asked 100 men, what do you think of this conversation? I'm not listening to that. I'm not listening to that soft stuff. I'm not hearing a man talking about emotions. Look, the only difference between me and feeling vulnerable and being okay with it and somebody else that's not okay with it is honestly, it's being okay with myself. Like,
Right.
what could somebody say to me that would distract me or make me feel uncomfortable about having a conversation like this?
Right.
You can call me whatever you want. You can
Right.
call me soft. You can
Yeah.
call me a cuss
Whatever.
word. I'm not gonna disrespect your audience if there was a cuss word. Like, that's fine. Go
Hmm.
ahead, because your opinion of me doesn't matter. I love
Right.
myself. I'm confident in myself, and I mind my business. I could care less what your opinion is of me.
That's right.
Why am I gonna? That's a distraction. That's a
That's
distraction from what's really, really important to me.
that's right. And I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you, as a man, because that's the thing. Like, I'm like, there's not a balance of being that you're a masculine man, of course, be masculine, but it's okay to cry. It's okay to have that feminine side, because we do have it. Like the same thing, like women, we do have that masculine parts of us too. We are feminine, of course, and we can see when we are over too masculine, and that masculine energy takes over, how we can be, you're not kind of off balance,
Hmm.
as opposed to a man when he's so masculine, which is good, but now you're hearing things like alpha male, and you're hearing, because he's so masculine, but he cannot really express himself and show emotions. Listen, if you cannot show emotions, you need to heal.
He's the saddest one, if we're being honest. That person that feels like I'm so tough. I'm so you use the word alpha. But he can't tell the guy next to him how he feels about something, or why he's frustrated that something that his wife did, or something that his kid's doing. Or look, none of us are perfect.
Right.
Not near one of us. Nobody listening to this live. Nobody anywhere is perfect.
Right.
So, like, leave the judgment at home. And at the end of the day, why do we care about somebody else's opinion?
Yeah.
Embarrassment, shame, like, whatever.
Right. Exactly. Right. So let's get on to the next question. Guys, if you have any question, put one in the chat, okay? Because we're going to talk about that too. Um, so we talk about the support. We talk about support system. Basic. I think you mentioned a few things in there about your mother, and like having that support system is so important for your healing process.
It
Like,
is, and I recognize that a lot of people don't have those things. I'm
yeah,
very fortunate. I'm very, very fortunate that I have a mother who I still, she's my best friend. She was there for me when they got divorced when I was young, and I saw her today. Give her a hug today.
right,
Um, and you know, any parents out there can relate to this. My kids at some level saved my life. I didn't have a whole lot to live for during those dark times, during the beginnings of the divorce. Um, they see me crying, sitting on the steps, and I would never want that to happen, but
mm-hmm.
it happened, and they come up to you and say, they start rubbing you on the back and say it's gonna be okay. Like,
Wow,
that's different.
yeah,
Um, Yeah, certain friends, not all your friends are going to be there to help you. That's not the relationships that you have with everybody. But if you have that one or two people in your life that you can talk to and confide in, and that they're going to listen. Not
right,
everybody there is there to give you advice. Why would you get advice from somebody that hasn't gone through it?
right. Say that again. I see
I'm
that
not.
all the time. You're
Yeah,
right.
I'm not going to ask. I mean, there's a lot of analogies, right? Um, I'm not going to ask the poor person how to get rich. I'm not going to ask the overweight person how to lose weight. Like, uh,
Right.
if a person hasn't been through a divorce, you're probably not the best person to ask for divorce advice from.
That's right. Because they don't know how to navigate that. They don't know how they just don't know what it is that, and I'm an advocate for that all the time. Like, I don't go to no single woman, and if that single woman telling me how to get a dream man, and you're single, like, please sit down somewhere.
That's a way better analogy than the ones I gave.
No, what you give is you're right. But I had a single woman telling me that, come to my program. I teach you how to get I teach you how to get a dream man. But you are single, you have no man, right? I'm like, girl, go sit down somewhere.
Uh-huh.
You're not gonna get my money, right? So you're right. Like, people, you need to take advice from people who really have been through the trenches, who been there, done that, and have overcome, and now they are rebuilding, rediscovering themselves again, so that there's life after divorce. Like I said, there's life after trauma. There's life. It's not the end. It's not the end at all. And it's like, what have you learned from that situation, right? That's what we take from that, and then we go forward. But we need to let it go in order for us to move forward, right? So rediscovering ourselves again, right? That's a lot of things. I have a course coming up that I'm going to share with my audience tonight. When it comes to, like, 4 weeks, rediscovering you, because when you're in a marriage, right, for however long that is, all that your lost of dreams, like the plans that you had together, all the things that you talked about, that you built together, is just gone. Everything is gone. And I know of people who they really leave and cleave, meaning that they lose themselves in their partner. No identity, like their whole sense of identity was in their partner. So now that marriage or that breakup is that relationship is no longer there. They don't even know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So now it's like, who am I?
Yep.
Everything that I've done, everything that I was doing was for my family, was for my partner, was for my spouse. Everything now, it's just like my heart has been ripped from my chest.
Yep.
What do I do? How do I even go through this life? How do I even start to rebuild? Because I don't have this person to help me make that decision. I can't even make decisions on my own. There are people like that.
I was there. Everything you just described, I was there.
Wow.
Absolutely.
So that's why we're going to have this course, and you're going to come and teach part of this course.
I'm with, and however I can help. You know, I'm your biggest champion. I'm your biggest fan. I'm here.
We're going to be having a course, guys. So it's going to be a 4-week course. I'm going to put it on tonight. It's going to be rediscovering yourself, rediscovering you, right? And it's a step-by-step process to reclaiming your joy after your divorce, whether it's a breakup, whether it's betrayal. Because listen, the pain of betrayal, oh my goodness, the pain of betrayal. And just for tonight, I'm giving 50% off of that. So don't worry, the course is not going to break your pocket, because it's a low thing course, but it's going to help, right? So the next question I'm going to ask you is, so what did the role of healing after your divorce play in attracting a healthy relationship? Men, hear this, single men and single women. Even though this is for men, as a man's mental health, everything he's talking about still applies to women. Some of the things he's talking about, it applies to everybody.
You know, all the videos I used to make, I would start my video by saying men, mental health. And my daughter looked at me and she said, "Daddy, I'm listening. We're all listening." I mean, yeah. So, you know, these things might be from my perspective as a man or from your perspective as a woman. But at the end of the day, these are life things that we've all gone through. We're just sharing experiences of how we've gotten through different life challenges. So, you know, ultimately, I knew what I didn't want in that next relationship. And as I was thinking about this answer earlier, I connected another dot that I had not connected before. You know, as I was being raised, and I told myself, I don't want to ever raise a child in a divorce house. I did the opposite of everything I thought my dad would do. I wanted to be the opposite of him because he wasn't in my life. He wasn't a good man. He abandoned his family. You know, all those things. We've heard a lot of those kind of stories. And so I went through life. Even today, I do the opposite of what I think he would do. You know, I have primary custody of my kids. I live in this home every day. He was a truck driver. He would be on the road for weeks or months at end. And so I adopted that same mindset in my relationship that I'm in now. And I said, I know what my failed marriage felt like. And I know that that's not what I want. And so I'm looking for things that are the opposite of that. And so I want easy. Easy for me is like not sexually easy, but less stress. I don't want to play games. I don't want to I don't want to wonder what you're thinking. We're gonna be able to communicate. We're gonna share our thoughts and our feelings. We're gonna borderline over communicate. We're gonna tell each other what we want, what we don't want. It's gonna be based off of trust, not fear. You know, one of the critical things that happened in the beginning of this relationship, I remember not being able to sleep one night after about 6 or 9 months. And I was just awake at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I just had these feelings of like, this woman is going to break my heart. I'm getting to that point where I'm choosing to be vulnerable in this relationship. You know, last time I did that, we know what happened. And so she had a choice. You know, I called her at 2 in the morning and I said, look, I don't know what this feeling is, and I don't know how she's going to react to it. And she said, I won't get into what she said, but she shared a lot with me that put me at ease. And from that moment forward, it was a switch that went off in my head about, you know, trusting that person. And, you know, it's worked out so far. And it's been about 2 years now. So it's not perfect. You know, we have bad days, we have arguments, we live life just like everybody else. But I know the things that I didn't want that came from that failed marriage.
Right. So I would say, you know, and that's good, because a lot of times, and I say this all the time, like if I ask somebody, like someone who said, okay, I'm dating, or like you see on these dating sites, people put things like, I don't want this, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want. That is a turn off for me, honestly, because to me, that's where your focus is. And I always say to people, yes, you need to know what you don't want, but then now list what you want.
Absolutely.
Focus on the things that you want. And there's a disconnect, because there's so many times people say things like right off the bat, they can tell you and give you a long list of what they don't want. But if you ask them, okay, so what do you want? They have to think so deeply.
Look, hold on, pause. Because if I said to you, where are we going for dinner tonight? And you say, I know I don't want this. I know, look, women are very guilty of all that. So,
well, that's food. We're talking about food. We're talking about relationships. We're not talking about food here. We're talking about relationships. Don't try to use that.
Look, no, dude, but you're absolutely right. For me, it comes down to clarity, giving and getting clarity, and that's all it is. And if you don't understand something that I'm saying to you, as my partner or my kids, ask me questions.
Yes.
Ask me as many questions as you need to until you get to the point where you feel like you understand.
That's right.
Because the last thing I want is for you to misunderstand, especially if it's something important. I don't need to always feel understood, but you know, when it comes down to like the principles of a relationship and the foundation of what we're building, you know, trust and clarity and going out of our way for each other to do kind things. You know, we need to be on the same page about that kind of stuff.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the thing, like you talk about communication, right? I like that you said, don't read my mind. Don't make me read your mind. Speak, communicate, let me know. And whatever you focus on, that is most important, right? We have to focus on what we want.
Yep.
And we will get that, right? But in order for us to know what we want, we have to know, of course, okay, and that's why, that's what my point. Problems come into our lives, or challenges come into our life to make the path clearer for us, is to really bring clarity. Like if we really look at our problems, they are like blessings in disguise. because they come to us in our lives to show us what we don't want and to show us what we want also, and then how we can go about getting that, right? But a lot of times when we have problems, people look at it from in a bad way, in a negative way. Oh my God! But if you know, if you didn't go through what you go through, what you went through, you wouldn't know what you wanted and what you didn't want. So so it's again, it's lessons, right? It's helpful. It's lessons that we can take and run with it and say, you know what? Yeah, that sucks, and that was a mess and whatever. But this is what I learned about myself.
That comes back to the very first thing we said. And I know a lot of people weren't on here from Facebook in the very beginning, but the mindset of nothing is a loss anymore. It's only win or learn. And so if you're adopting that mindset and you're a sponge throughout life and you're either winning and achieving your goal or you're learning something, and sometimes you're doing both.
Right.
You can only get better by having that mindset.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. There's no loss. There's no loss at all. You learn, right? So the next question I would ask you is, looking back, what advice would you give to your past self during the early stages of your divorce? And what would you say to someone who's dealing with a divorce?
Yeah, and so that's a really hard thing. There's so many things, right? There's so many different phases of a divorce, both emotionally and legally and everything else. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, but there is a fine line between doing everything you can to try to make the marriage work and doing too much to the point where you've sacrificed your respect, your self-respect, but the respect that you also command from your partner, your dignity, your self-worth. I can't tell you, the person that's going through a divorce, I can't tell you where that line is, but I can tell you there's a line. And when you cross that line, that you will never get that significant other back. No matter what, it's never coming back. And if it comes back, it's never going to be in the same way that it was.
Right.
And I can assure you that I crossed that line. And it wasn't until I said, you know what, I've fought every fight. I can't do this anymore. For the sake of my sanity, for the sake of my life, for the sake of my kids' happiness, because ultimately they see us fighting, they see us unhappy, it's affecting them. We got to make a change. And I would say that's the biggest thing, is understand where that line is. You might cross it, but be mindful of it.
Right. That's good. That's good. So yeah, guys. So there is a line. There is a line that, like you said, you mentioned some of those things, trying all these different things to save your marriage, even though it's not what you valued, but you still wanted to do it because you said, okay, maybe this is what she wanted. That is crossing the line, right? That is really crossing the line. So I'm glad that you said that, because it, like you said, you went against your self-respect, your values, and all of these things. So if you had to tell your past self, what is one thing, don't cross the line when it comes to the early stages of divorce or whatever.
Look,
Respectfully.
especially in my divorce, there was a lot of things that, and we talked about them earlier, open marriages and, trying different therapies and, trying different date nights and just trying to mix it up and trying to find something that we could connect on. And ultimately what I thought we were looking for is a way for us to be here and come together as one in a relationship. But ultimately it was me coming to the middle and her resisting, and we never got there. And so eventually I'm just pushing her away.
Yeah.
And she's gone forever. And I'm not saying that that's the same in every marriage. That's just the way it happened for me. And it could be the complete opposite, man or woman, it doesn't matter.
Right.
But yeah, ultimately it takes two people to make a relationship work. It takes one of them to make it not work. And there's nothing the other person can do about it.
That's right. That's absolutely right. Guys, are you hearing? It takes two people. If you have questions, you can drop one of the questions. We are about to wrap up. But if you have questions, drop, one of those questions in the chat and let's see, right? Let me see if there's any questions in here. Where are the real women in the Bahamas? I don't know.
I'm ready to go to Bahamas. Let's go.
I cried then afterwards. I don't know why I'm not seeing the let me see if I can see the chat here. Because people were putting things in the chat. But okay, so somebody said, oh, he said he cried. I cried then afterwards. I have more understanding of what I was crying for. Okay, gotcha. Yes.
Clarity, right? That's all we're looking for is clarity.
Clarity. What is he talking about, the real woman? I don't know what you're talking about, guy. But anyway, if you all have no questions, any last thing you want to say, Bo? You want to share? I think that was the last question, right? Yeah, looking
It was. I mean, yeah. It's been an hour and 45 minutes. My legs need to stretch a little bit.
No, we're done. That's what I'm saying.
I so much appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk about these things. Men's mental health, divorce, life. These are things that I do these every day. So this is an easy conversation. You're obviously an easy person to have this conversation with. I appreciate the platform and whatever I can do to help you, to help your audience. You can find me. I'm most of the time I'm on TikTok and on Facebook most recently. But yeah, if there's anything I can do for you or anybody in your audience, don't hesitate to reach out.
Sounds good. I thank you so much again for your time. But definitely, we're going to do some more on this because it's needed. And guys, if you have any questions, reach out to me, DM me. If you have questions for Bo and you don't want to talk about it here, that's fine. Reach out to me and we will, answer your questions, right? So thank you so much again for your time. Yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more TikTok.
Yeah, good.
I'm coming over there. I'm going to be more focused over there too. So yes. So thank you also for your time, guys. Thank you for joining. Those who joined, those who will hear the replay. It's Friday night. You know what I mean? And you know what I didn't realize too? It's the weekend before 4th of July. People probably traveling already.
I sat in beach traffic today. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. Yep.
But that's okay. Some people were here on. That's fine. I know they'll come back. They'll watch the replay or whatever. And so it was a great conversation, great questions. You were able to show us and to tell us, your own personal journey and where you were and where you are now, and what's the plan for the future? What's the plan? Like?
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother hour and 45 minutes.
No, it's not. We're done.
No, I mean, Chill Champ is, wherever that goes. I don't know. Maybe divorce coaching, maybe life coaching. Who knows? I don't know where that's going to go. But again, if it helped one person,
you did your job.
I really, it's the reason I went through what I went through is to be able to help and I hear from men, specifically men, all the time. Actually, I hear from a lot of women that say, your perspectives from a man's point of view has really helped me in their divorce.
Yeah. So, I like that too. Because a lot of women also need to understand men and what they go through and how they process hurt and pain, So that's helpful too. Yeah. All right. So, Bo, you have a good rest of your Friday night and your weekend. Thank you so much again for your time. It was a pleasure. Guys, thank you all for watching. We're gonna have another one on co-parenting. That's a whole thing.
That's a great topic. Yes.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. We're gonna have another one on co-parenting and dealing with the person who, Yeah. All right, then, Bo, have a good night. We'll talk.
Thank you.
Alrighty. Bye-bye.